Cannabis Nursing Solutions is a premier education and consulting business with the topic of cannabis. You can contact us at www.cannabisnursingsolutionsllc.com. Don't forget to follow us on IG at Cannabis Nursing Solutions. Hi, I'm Ashley from Cannabis Nursing Solutions. I wanted to talk to you about nursing. What is nursing? Let's think about how the world sees a nurse determines how we see the nurse in a lot of situations. Right now, we are heroes. They want to call nurses heroes all the time. Hero this, hero that. But don't heroes usually get elevated? Don't they get rewarded for the work that they do on a day-to-day basis? Can't they get PPE? Can't they get the costume that they need to put on to help them save the day? How many times have you walked into the hospital and not had what you needed? And this is before COVID. I'll tell you a story of when I was a young nurse and I needed a feeding pump. I had a patient who was coming from the ED. He was a new tube feeding patient. So this patient had a new peg tube put in. And if you know anything about peg tubes, when they first get put in, they should constantly have something flowing through the tube. Otherwise, the tube could possibly close. Well, I knew that. And again, I'm a new nurse. This is my first or second year, maybe. Close to my second year, maybe. But I knew that walking in. The patient comes up to the floor. I was told the patient would have a pump. And when he arrived to the floor, he did not have a pump. The ED was actually hoarding the pump and refused to give me a pump. Again, 10 years ago, please keep this in mind. So I remember when I used to work on the floors that it was very hard to find IV pumps, tube feeding pumps. We had a hard time finding IV supplies, tubes, all those kind of things. And a lot of times we had somebody on the unit who was supposed to stock I think she wasn't there that day. I just remember her name. But I think she wasn't there that day. So we didn't have everything we needed on the unit. So the patient comes up. He needs a pump. He had already been maybe a half an hour without the pump. I was concerned. As a new nurse, I went by the book on everything. Like, you are supposed to have this tube feed running at X amount, 20 cc's per hour or whatever, to constantly have this tube open, because I didn't want your tube to close on my shift. It was not happening. So here I am. I see the patient. I have 5 other patients because I worked med surg, and the specialty was stroke. And I had 5 patients, and I'm supposed to be assessing the patient, but I was too preoccupied with the fact that this tube feed was not running in this guy's peg because it could have closed. That was my priority, right? I identified my priority. I needed to act on my priority. I went to go look for the pump. And when I went to go look for that pump, I couldn't find the pump. So what do? You ask your charge nurse. Charge nurse, hey, I can't find a tube feeding pump. She has patients too. She cannot help me find this pump. She gives me suggestions. I go to search for the suggestions. I couldn't find the suggestions. And here I am. Here I am in the middle of the nurse's station, trying to ask everybody I could think of where this tube feeding pump was, and it wasn't there. In that moment, as a very, very new nurse, a very naive nurse, I still had idealistic ideas about what nursing was. Here I am, looking for the tools to serve my patients, to be the hero that I'm supposed to be. Fast forward 20 years later, we're being called heroes, because back then we weren't called heroes. But now we're being called heroes, and we're still being put in the positions where we don't have the tools to save the day. So how does that play out? How do you reach the standard of being the hero that society wants you to be? It's hard to do it. One thing that you can do, though, is be able to understand what your patients are going through. You may not have the tools all the time Healthcare may not be able to supply you with everything that you need, but you can take responsibility for the things that you know about your patients. One of the things that you need to know is that your patients are choosing to consume cannabis. Yes, that's right. About 3% of the population, if not more, and I can almost guarantee you it's more, are consuming cannabis on a regular basis. Most of them are choosing not to inform you about cannabis. But what does it look like if you, as a nurse, decide to inquire and assess the same way you would inquire and assess a STD, or inquire or assess any other medical condition that they might not be forthright about, right? Do you ask about what they consume, what their genetic profile of the plants they choose to consume are? And if your patient doesn't know, do you have the ability to ask a question about where they get their medicine from? Or the method, how they choose to consume it? Are they using tincture? Are they smoking it? Right? So, our healthcare system may not be doing what we needed to do, but are you doing what you need to do for your patients? That's the question. My name is Ashley from Cannabis Nursing Solutions. You can email me at cannabisnursingsolutionsllc.com. If you want some more information on how you can get trained on cannabis as medicine to implement into your practice, please go to www.cannabisnursingsolutionsllc.com. Talk to you soon. Bye.